I'm sitting in the hallway outside the boardroom, still hearing my own voice in my head. Not what I said. What they said back. Single mothers are always replaceable. Daniel didn't even look at me when he said it. Like I wasn't a person, just noise in the room. Inside the glass conference room, I can see them already moving on. Laptops closing, chairs shifting. Someone laughs too loudly a little late, like they're reminding themselves it was a joke. My hands are still holding my printed report. It's warm from my grip, slightly bent now. 10% raise, that's all I asked for. Not promotion, not power, just acknowledgement. The door opens behind me. A junior analyst steps out, sees me, and freezes for half a second. Emily? He doesn't finish the sentence. He just nods like that's safer, then walks past me faster than necessary. That's when I realize something simple. No one is coming out to say that was inappropriate. No one is correcting it. Not even pretending. I look down at my folder. My name is still on the cover. Senior Operations Manager. Funny. It looks heavier than it did this morning. It didn't start in that room. It started 3 years ago in a smaller office with no glass walls and worse lighting. Back when Daniel first hired me. We need someone stable, he said during the interview. Stable. He liked that word. Like I was furniture. I remember nodding too quickly, smiling too carefully. I had just moved into a cheaper apartment with my son. Rent was due in 6 days. Stability sounded like oxygen. So I became it. The first 6 months I stayed late every night. Not because I was told to. Because things were breaking around me constantly. Vendor delays. Shipment errors. Systems no one bothered to document properly. And I fixed them. Quietly. Before anyone noticed they were broken. That was my first mistake. Or maybe my first skill. I stopped being visible. Emily, can you just handle it? That sentence became my job description. Not in writing. Just everywhere. In meetings when something got uncomfortable, eyes moved to me. Not Daniel. Not the directors. Me. I would answer. I always answered. Even when I shouldn't have. Even when it wasn't my responsibility. Because saying no meant slowing things down. And slowing things down meant attention. And attention felt dangerous. Back then, I didn't know that silence can become a system. I thought I was helping. I thought that mattered. Now in the hallway, my phone vibrates. One message. From finance. Budget review pending approval from CEO. My thumb hovers. I don't open it yet. Instead, I look through the glass again. Daniel is still in there. Standing now. Talking with his hands. Confident. Easy. The kind of man who never has to fix things at midnight. He catches my reflection in the glass. For a second, I think he might look away. He doesn't. He smiles slightly. Not at me. Through me. Then he turns back to the group. Like I've already left the conversation. Like I already agreed to disappear. I remember something he said once. At a company dinner. Emily's great, she just doesn't need recognition. People laughed. I laughed too. Because it sounded like praise. Now I realize what it actually was. A permission slip. To keep taking without giving back. The door opens again. This time it's his assistant. She doesn't step out fully. Just leans into the hallway. Emily, he said, we'll circle back on compensation next quarter. Her voice is practiced. Careful. Like she's delivering weather. Not impact. I nod once. Okay. That's all I say. She relaxes slightly like she passed a test she didn't know she was taking. Then she leaves. The door closes. Soft click. But it feels final. I stay in the hallway. Not moving. Because if I move, it becomes real in a different way. 10% wasn't the problem. The problem was what he said right after. Replaceable. That word keeps repeating itself in my head. Like it's trying to find where it fits. In me. In my work. In the last 3 years of nights, I don't remember leaving the office. My phone vibrates again. Unknown number. I almost ignore it. Then I answer. Hello? A pause. Then a man's voice. Calm, professional. You don't know me. My name is Harris Caldwell. I'm with Meridian Advisory. I don't speak. He continues. We've been reviewing operational dependencies in several mid-market logistics firms. Another pause. Longer this time. And your name keeps coming up. I glance back at the boardroom glass. Daniel is still inside. Still talking. Still not looking for me. Harris speaks again. Can you talk? I don't answer immediately. Because something about that question feels heavier than the raise I just lost. It doesn't sound like opportunity. It sounds like recognition. And recognition, I've learned, always comes after someone stops being able to ignore you. Behind the glass, Daniel laughs, louder now. The meeting is ending. And I realize whatever just happened in there isn't the end of anything. It's the beginning of something I was never supposed to be invited into. I grip my folder tighter. The paper edges press into my palm. Yeah, I finally say into the phone. I can talk. And as I say it, I notice something I didn't before. My voice doesn't shake, but everything around it already has. I'm still holding the phone when I walk back into the office. Harris didn't say much after that. Just asked for tomorrow morning, 9 a.m., like it was already scheduled somewhere I couldn't see yet. Now I'm back at my desk and everything looks normal again. Too normal. Slack messages popping up, calendar alerts, a vendor escalation marked urgent that somehow still waits for me to fix it. I open it. Of course I do. Because that's what I always do. Emily, can you just take a look? It's already there in the thread. Not a question. A pattern. Across the floor, people are leaving the boardroom. I don't look up at first. I can feel them more than see them. That shift when a meeting ends and people decide who matters. Daniel comes out last. He's still smiling. Still in control of his voice. But something is slightly off now. Like a man adjusting a mask that doesn't sit the same way anymore. He stops near my desk. Doesn't sit. Doesn't lean in. Just stands. Everything okay? He asks. It sounds casual. It isn't. I keep my eyes on the screen. Yes. A pause. Long enough to mean something. Good, he says. Then softer, almost absent. We'll revisit compensation after Q3. After. Not denied. Just delayed. That's his favorite word. It keeps things alive without changing them. He turns before I can respond. Already moving on. Already done with me. A notification pops up. Another escalation. Warehouse delay in Ohio. Supplier dispute. Shipment risk flagged. Red. Red again. I should forward it. I should delegate it. Instead, I fix it. I always fix it. I type 3 messages. Pull up 2 contracts. Call a vendor who answers on the second ring like they were waiting for me specifically. Emily, he says, relieved. I didn't know who else to call. I almost laugh at that. Almost. Because that sentence is the entire company now. An hour passes like that, then another. When I finally look up, the office is quieter. Most people gone, except a few lights still on. Mine. And Daniel's assistant across the floor. She's watching me. Not obviously, but enough that I notice. When I meet her eyes, she looks away first. That's new. It used to be the other way around. Around 7 p.m., I finally step away from my desk. Coffee cold, phone warm, head heavy in that familiar way. That's when I see it. The whiteboard near the operations room. Someone has written something new. FYI, all vendor escalations to be routed through Emily Carter until further notice. No signature. No announcement. Just written. Like it was always true. Like no one remembered deciding it. I stare at it longer than I should. Because I didn't approve that. But I also didn't stop it. That's the problem. I never stop anything. I only contain it. My phone buzzes again. Harris. Still good for tomorrow. I step into the hallway. Quiet. Empty now. I'm here, I say. A pause. Then, you realize your system documentation is more complete than your company's official infrastructure map. I blink. Once. What? He doesn't answer directly. Instead, you've essentially been running a parallel operational framework. Another pause. That's not normal for a mid-level role. I look through the glass walls into the empty boardroom. The chairs are still slightly misaligned from earlier. No one fixed them. Of course no one did. I didn't build a system, I say quietly. I just kept things from breaking. Harris responds after a beat. That's the same thing. And something about that sentence lands differently. Not like praise. Like diagnosis. I hang up eventually. But I don't move. Because for the first time today, I'm noticing something I usually ignore. The building is quieter than it should be. Not empty. Just dependent. On something I've been doing so long I stopped naming it. Fixing. Redirecting. Preventing collapse before anyone notices pressure exists. I go back to my desk. Open my files, not because I have to. Because I want to see something. I scroll. Vendor logs. System notes. Emergency overrides. Each one signed by me. Not officially. But functionally. Hundreds of them. Maybe more. And at some point, I realize something that makes my stomach tighten in a way I don't like. If I stop tomorrow, there's no backup. Not really. Just assumptions. And assumptions don't ship products. Across the office, Daniel's office light turns off. He's leaving early. Again. He passes my desk without stopping. But this time something changes. He hesitates half a second too long, like he's deciding whether I still belong in his exit path. Then he nods once. Small, professional, detached. See you tomorrow, Emily. Not good job. Not thanks. Just continuation. Like nothing happened in that room earlier. Like I didn't just become a number he could afford to mislabel. I nod back. Yeah, that's all. But as he walks away, I notice something else. For the first time in a long time, he didn't look certain I would still be here when he comes back. And I don't know why that feels like a shift. But it does. Deep. Quiet. Irreversible. My screen goes dark. Reflection staring back at me. I don't look tired. I look unplaced. Like I don't fit the category they assigned me anymore. My phone lights up again. Harris. One line. Tomorrow will clarify a few things. Don't share anything with your leadership yet. I stare at it. Then lock my screen. Outside the office building hums. Like something large is turning slowly beneath it. And for the first time, I realize I might not be inside it. I might be what it's turning around. I didn't sleep much. Not because I couldn't. Because I kept waking up thinking about systems. Not emotional things. Actual systems. Vendor flows. Approval chains. The missing redundancy layers I've been quietly compensating for without ever calling it that. At 8:42 a.m. I'm already in the office. Before most people. Before Daniel. That part matters more than it used to. Harris is waiting in the lobby when I arrive. He's not holding a laptop. Not looking rushed. Just watching the building like he's already read it. You came early, he says. I didn't sleep, I answer. He nods like that confirms something. Not surprises him. Confirms him. We don't go to a conference room. He asks to walk. So we do. Down the hallway, past glass offices, past people starting their day without realizing anything is different yet. He speaks quietly. Your dependency structure is unusual. I don't respond immediately. Because I'm still not used to hearing my work described like that. Structure. Dependency. Like it's architecture, not survival. He continues. You've centralized operational stability without formal authority. A pause. That creates risk. I almost laugh. Everything here is risk, I say. That gets a faint exhale from him. Not quite a smile. Something more restrained. We pass a meeting room. Inside I see Daniel. Already in a discussion. 3 executives, 1 whiteboard. He's speaking fast, confident again. Performing stability. The door is open. I hear fragments. Q3 adjustments. Vendor resilience. Cost containment. Normal language. But something feels different now. Like I can hear where he stops knowing what he's talking about. Harris notices my pause. You've never been in that conversation. No, I say. It comes out flat. He looks at me for a second longer than necessary. That's important, he says. Not judgmental. Just noted. Like a missing line in a blueprint. We stop near the operations floor. Harris lowers his voice. Board-level advisory is reviewing continuity risk today. I turn slightly. So this is already moving. He nods. It started moving before you were aware of it. That lands in a way I don't like. Because it implies something I've never fully allowed myself to consider. That I wasn't discovered. I was observed. At 10:03 a.m. I'm called into a meeting. Not by Daniel. By his assistant. Her voice is different today. Less certain. Board request. Immediate. No explanation. Just urgency without ownership. The boardroom feels colder in the morning. Different energy than yesterday. Same glass walls. Different silence. Daniel is already inside. He looks up when I enter. A fraction too late. Like he wasn't sure I would actually come. That thought hits me quickly. I don't let it stay. Emily, the board chair, says, polite, measured. Thank you for joining. I sit. Not at the far end. Not at the head. Somewhere in between. That already feels new. They begin with questions. Not emotional ones. Structural ones. How are vendor escalations currently resolved? I answer. Calm. Precise. Because that's what I've always done. Who owns system redundancy mapping? Me. Who approves contingency overrides? Me. Who would handle disruption if you were unavailable? Silence. I hesitate for the first time. Then answer honestly. No one. That word sits too long in the room. Daniel shifts. Small movement. But visible. He leans forward. That's not accurate, he says. First time he's spoken directly to me. Not through delegation. Me. I turn slightly. Which part? His jaw tightens. The system is distributed. I nod slowly. I know what it's supposed to be. A pause. Then I add, I also know what it becomes when it breaks. That lands differently than I expect. Someone at the table writes something down. The board chair looks between us, then says something quiet. Emily, can you walk us through operational dependencies at a system level? Not a request, a pivot. I open my laptop. Not because I'm prepared, because I've done this in my head for years, just never said it out loud here. As I speak, something changes in the room. It's subtle at first. Eyes shifting. Pens stopping. Daniel stops interrupting. Not because he agrees. Because he doesn't recognize parts of what I'm describing. That's the first crack. Not conflict. Distance. Between authority and knowledge. I show them the dependency map. The real one. Not the official one. The one I built at midnight when shipments failed and no one wanted to escalate. Lines connect. Systems collapse into a single point. One name appears repeatedly. Mine. I don't point it out. I don't need to. They see it. All of them. Someone finally speaks. Low voice. That's not sustainable. I respond before I think. It's already happening. Silence again. Different kind this time. Not ignorance. Recognition. Daniel finally turns fully toward me. He looks not angry. Not yet. Something closer to unsettled. Like a structure he trusted is no longer aligned. You never escalated this, he says. I meet his eyes. I did, I say. Just not in meetings. That lands. Harder than I expect. Because it's true. And truth in rooms like this always sounds like accusation. The board chair closes a folder slowly. Then says, we need a follow-up session without executive filter. Daniel hears that. I can see it. Executive filter. Not leader. Filter. That's the moment his expression changes, not fully, but enough. I stand when the meeting ends. No one dismisses me. No one thanks me. That feels important, because it means I wasn't performing. I was informing. There's a difference now. In the hallway, Daniel catches up. Just me. No assistant. No audience. Emily. He says it like he's trying to reset tone. I stop. He doesn't continue immediately. Then, this is getting out of proportion. I nod slightly. Not agreeing. Just acknowledging he believes that. He lowers his voice. You know how this looks? I almost respond. But he adds, to the board. That's when I understand. He isn't worried about truth. He's worried about visibility. There's a difference there too. I look at him for a long moment. Then I say, I didn't change anything. A pause. I just answered questions. He doesn't respond to that. Because there's no way to argue it without admitting something worse. I walk away first. Not fast. Not slow. Just done with standing in that space. Behind me I hear nothing. That silence is new. It follows me longer than I expect. At my desk my phone lights up. Harris. One message. Now they're seeing what I've been seeing. No emotion. Just confirmation. I sit down slowly. For the first time today I don't open anything to fix. I just sit. And realize something uncomfortable. Nothing has collapsed yet. But everyone in that building now understands it could. And they all know exactly where the weight sits. On me. I'm standing in the boardroom again, but it doesn't feel like yesterday anymore. It feels like a different version of the same room. Same glass walls, same table, same faint hum of air conditioning that nobody ever talks about. But the air in here is different. Quieter. Like something important already broke and no one agreed to name it yet. Daniel is sitting now. That's the first thing I notice. He didn't stand when I came in. That used to be his rhythm. Control the room, control the posture, control the tone. Now he's watching me like he's waiting for me to repeat myself differently. I don't. I just sit. The board chair speaks first. Emily, we'd like you to walk through continuity risk in full detail. No small talk. No buffer. Just the core. I nod once. Open my laptop. And for a moment I hesitate. Not because I don't know what to say. Because I do. Too well. I need to clarify something first, I say. My voice is steady. Not emotional. That matters here more than anything. This system isn't fragile because it's poorly designed. A pause. It's fragile because it was never meant to run without me. No reaction at first. Then a small shift around the table. Pens stop moving. Someone exhales too slowly. Daniel leans forward slightly. Not interrupting yet, but close. I click to the first slide. Vendor dependencies, lines spread across the screen. Too many converging points, too many silent bottlenecks. Too many names replaced by manual override handled by ops. My name appears again. And again, and again. I don't point at it. I don't need to. Everyone sees it. A board member finally speaks. You personally approve all of these? I answer honestly. Yes. Another pause. Why? That question lands differently. Not technical. Human. I look down for half a second, then back up. Because if I didn't, things stopped moving. I stop there. I don't explain the rest. I don't say I stayed late because no one else picked up. I don't say I started answering emails at 5 a.m. because vendors in different time zones didn't wait for structure. I don't say I became the structure. I just leave it there. Simple, clean, uncomfortable. Daniel cuts in. That was never the intended process. I turn toward him. For the first time today, I don't soften anything. I know. That's all I say. Because that's the truth that matters most. I knew. I still did it. And no one stopped me. Silence expands. Not dramatic. Just heavy. One of the directors shifts in his seat. Another looks down at the table like it suddenly has texture. The board chair finally speaks again. Emily, are you saying the company cannot operate without your direct involvement? I pause. Long enough that it becomes real. Then, I'm saying it already doesn't. That's when the room changes. Not emotionally. Structurally. Like a foundation being acknowledged for the first time. Daniel's voice sharpens slightly. That's an exaggeration. I turn fully toward him now. Not aggressive. Just precise. Then test it. He doesn't respond immediately. Because that's the problem. It's not emotional anymore. It's measurable. The board chair raises a hand slightly. Let's stay focused. But the focus is already gone. It's been replaced. By recognition. By recalculation. By something no one can politely unsee. I close my laptop. Not because I'm done. Because I've already said enough. That gesture feels louder than anything I've spoken. I stand. No one tells me to stay. That matters too. Outside the room, the hallway feels colder. Not physically. Socially. Like I've stepped out of alignment with something still pretending to function. Daniel follows me out. Not immediately. But close enough that I hear him before I see him. Emily, I stop. He doesn't say anything for a moment. Then lowers his voice. You understand what this does. I turn slightly. Not fully facing him. Which part? His jaw tightens. The stability of the company. I nod slowly. That was already the risk. A beat. Then I add, you just didn't want to see it. That lands harder than anything in the boardroom. Because it removes comfort. Not authority. Comfort. For the first time, he doesn't have a quick response. That silence is different. Not strategic. Uncertain. I can see it register in him. Not anger. Realignment. Something shifting that he can't control quickly enough. He speaks again. Lower. This didn't have to become this. I look at him now. Really look. And something in me goes quiet in a different way. Not hurt. Not anger. Just clarity. It already was. I don't wait for him to answer. I walk away. Back at my desk, the office feels louder than it did this morning. Not sound. Awareness. People know something shifted. They just don't know how to behave inside it yet. That's always the awkward phase. Before systems catch up to truth. My phone lights up. Harris. No greeting. Just, they've requested internal restructuring options. I stare at it. Then respond. Without me. A pause. Then, number. Just that. No explanation needed. Because now it's obvious. Nothing in the system can be discussed without touching where it all converges. I lean back slightly in my chair. For the first time today, I don't feel urgency. I feel exposure. Not emotional. Structural. Like I've been standing inside a machine everyone just admitted depends on my hands staying exactly where they are. And the strange part is, I never asked for it. I just never stopped. Behind me, the glass boardroom door opens again. I don't turn around. I don't need to. I already know what changed in there. Not decisions. Not emotions. Understanding. And once a system understands what it depends on, it never looks at it the same way again. I notice the shift before anyone says a word. It's not in what people do. It's in how slowly they do it. Like everyone in the office suddenly has to think twice before speaking to me. Before they used to interrupt me constantly. Now they wait. A second too long. 2 seconds. Then they speak. Carefully. My morning starts with 3 messages from departments I don't manage. Not officially, but functionally. Can you review this before we escalate? Just confirming with you first. Quick check, are we aligned? It's the same behavior, just reversed. They're not bypassing me anymore. They're orbiting me. And I don't like how fast that happened. Daniel doesn't come to my desk. That's the first noticeable absence. For 3 years, he walked past it daily without thinking. Now he avoids it entirely. Not dramatically. Just slightly rerouted paths, small enough that no one else comments, large enough that I notice every time. Around 10 a.m. HR schedules a routine organizational review. No context, just a calendar block. That phrase alone tells me everything. Routine never means routine. It means adjustment without naming it. The meeting room is smaller this time. No board. Just HR legal. 2 executives who don't usually speak unless spoken to. And me. Daniel arrives last. He doesn't sit immediately. He stands near the wall instead. That alone tells me something changed overnight. The HR director starts carefully. We're evaluating operational clarity and continuity structure following recent findings. No mention of my name. But everything points toward it, she continues. There are concerns about over-centralization of critical processes. I almost smile. Concerns. That word again. Polite panic. I speak before Daniel does. I didn't centralize anything. A pause. I filled gaps. Silence. Then the HR director nods slowly. Yes, that's one interpretation. That sentence tells me more than the report ever could. Interpretation means disagreement without conflict. Daniel finally speaks. We're not questioning your contribution. He looks at the table, not me. That matters. We're evaluating sustainability. I nod once. That's the same thing. He looks up briefly. Not at me fully. Just enough. No, he says. It's not. But there's hesitation in it now. Less authority. More uncertainty. The legal advisor clears his throat. From a governance perspective, the concern is single-point dependency. I respond immediately. That's accurate. Another pause. Then I add, it's just late. That lands differently. Someone shifts in their chair. They ask me questions after that. Not accusatory. Not supportive. Just diagnostic. If I step away, what breaks first? If I'm unavailable, who fills the gap? If I leave? That one hangs longer than the others. No one elaborates on it. They don't have to. I answer everything honestly. Because there's no benefit in pretending anymore. And somewhere between question 6 and question 9, I notice something unsettling. No one disputes the answers. They're just absorbing them, like adjusting their internal models. Daniel speaks again. This doesn't mean we can't restructure around you. That's the first time he says it. Around you. Not with you. Around. I look at him longer this time, and something in me settles. Not emotional. Finalizing. You already are, I say. Quiet. Simple. And I mean it. The room goes still again. Not because it's dramatic. Because it's accurate. Everyone here already knows the system bends toward one point. They're just deciding what to do about it now. Meeting ends without conclusion. That's important. No resolution. Just awareness. Awareness is heavier than action in rooms like this, because it forces future behavior. Outside, Daniel catches up to me again. This time, no hallway buffer. No audience. Just distance shrinking too slowly. Emily, he says. I stop. He hesitates. That's new? He used to never hesitate. We're going to need you involved in the transition planning, he says. I nod slightly. Of course. He watches me for a second longer. Then, this is still fixable. That word again. Fixable. I almost respond immediately. But I don't. Because I realize something important. He still thinks this is a problem inside the system, not the system itself. I finally answer. It already fixed itself. He doesn't respond right away. That's the first time I see it clearly. He doesn't know how to argue without sounding like he's denying reality. And reality is now documented. Back at my desk, the office feels different again. Not louder. Not quieter. Just aware. People don't walk past me anymore without noticing. Some slow down. Some avoid eye contact. Some linger like they want permission to speak. I don't give it. Not intentionally. Just naturally now. My phone vibrates. Harris. They're moving faster than expected. I stare at it. Then type, faster toward what? A pause. Then, reassignment of authority structure. I read it twice. Authority structure. Not job title. Not role. Structure. I lean back in my chair. For the first time, I feel something unfamiliar. Not fear. Not satisfaction. Distance. From something I've been inside for so long I forgot I was holding it up. And now everyone else can see the pressure point. That changes how people move around you. Not because you changed, but because they finally understood what you've been absorbing. Across the office, someone laughs too loudly, then stops abruptly, like they realized it doesn't belong in this version of the room anymore. No one explains why. They just adjust. I look at the glass wall of Daniel's office. He's inside, talking, but slower now, measured differently. Like every sentence has to pass through something first. Me, even when I'm not in the room. That's the part no one says out loud, but everyone feels it. And I realize this isn't collapse yet. This is recalibration. And recalibration always starts with discomfort. Before it becomes structure again, I find out I'm not going to be fired the same way I found out everything else. Indirectly. Through a calendar invite. No subject line at first, just attendees. Board members, legal, HR, 2 external advisors. And my name, sitting in the middle like it belongs there. Not urgent, not dramatic, just inevitable. The meeting room is different this time. Not glass. No visibility. That's the first signal. Important things don't like being watched. Not anymore. When I walk in, they're already seated. Daniel isn't. That's the second signal. He arrives 30 seconds late. Closes the door gently behind him. No confidence in the sound. The board chair speaks first. Emily, thank you for your continued cooperation during this process. Cooperation. That word again. Like I'm participating in something I could refuse. I nod once. Don't correct it. There's no point anymore. They slide a document forward. It doesn't reach me fully. Just close enough. I read the title. Operational Continuity Interim Framework. No mention of my role. Just structure. Again. Everything is structure now. Not people. Not roles. Structure. The HR director speaks carefully. We've determined that the organization requires distributed operational authority. I almost laugh. Because I remember every time I asked for exactly that. Years ago. Quietly. Ignored every time. Now it's policy. Daniel finally speaks. His voice is controlled but thinner than before. This is not a response to performance. He glances at me briefly. It's a governance adjustment. I look at him, and I realize something simple. He's not defending himself anymore. He's translating himself. That's different. The board chair continues. Effective immediately, operational approvals will be transitioned into a committee structure. Pause. And interim leadership will oversee implementation. Another pause. Then, Emily Carter will serve as operational systems architect during transition. No applause. No reaction. Just naming. I sit still, because the words don't land like promotion. They land like containment. They're not elevating me. They're distributing me. I speak finally. Calm. Too calm. What happens if the transition fails? Silence. Not because they don't know. Because they already accounted for it. The board chair answers. Then the previous structure will be reviewed again. I nod slowly. That's the real answer. Nothing here is final. Everything is reversible except me. Daniel looks at me again. Longer this time. Not authority. Not tension. Something closer to recognition without power. He says quietly. You knew this was coming. I don't respond immediately. Because that's not true. Not fully. I didn't know. I just made it possible. After the meeting, no one dismisses me. No one thanks me. I notice that again. Because thanks would imply ownership. And ownership is what they're trying to avoid now. In the hallway, Daniel walks beside me. Not ahead. Not behind. Beside. That feels new. And temporary. We didn't want it to become this, he says. I keep walking. That's not accurate, I reply. He looks at me. I continue. You didn't want to notice it. He doesn't answer. Not defensively. Just quietly. Because it's not something he can argue without admitting too much. We stop near the elevator. He speaks again. Are you staying? It's not a question about employment. It's a question about alignment. I understand that. More than he knows. I think about it. Not emotionally. Practically. Then I answer. For now. That's all. No promise. No threat. Just time. At my desk, the office feels unfamiliar again. But not unstable. Structured differently now. People still look at me. But not the same way. Less expectation. More awareness. Like they're adjusting their distance without being told. My phone lights up. Harris. They've officially approved transition governance. I stare at it longer than I should. Then type, and me. A pause. Longer this time. Then, you're not under governance. I blink once. Read it again. Not under governance. That doesn't mean free. It means outside classification. Outside control categories. Outside the system trying to reorganize itself around me. I put the phone down slowly. Look at my desk. Everything still works. Emails still arrive. Systems still function. But now I can see something I couldn't before. None of it is independent. It just hasn't been tested yet. Across the office, someone tries to assign a task. They pause mid-sentence, look toward me instinctively, then stop, like they're waiting for permission that used to be automatic. I don't give it. I don't refuse it either. I just let it hang there, unresolved. Daniel leaves early again, but this time he pauses at the exit, looks back, not at the room, at me, a long second. Then he leaves without saying anything, and for the first time, it feels like he's not leaving work. He's leaving a version of the world where he understood how it worked. I stay late, not because I'm fixing anything, because I'm observing. And what I see is simple. People are still working, but differently, carefully, like they're touching something they no longer fully understand. Before I leave, I open one file, the dependency map, the real one. I don't update it. I don't change it. I just look at it and realize something I avoided for years. It was never hidden. It was just tolerated until it became undeniable. As I shut down my computer, I feel it clearly now. The system didn't collapse. It adapted. Around the weight it could no longer ignore. And for the first time in a long time, I am not inside that weight anymore. I am what they are now trying to distribute. Carefully, quietly. Too late. I don't come in early anymore. Not because I stopped caring. Because nothing changes before I arrive now. That's still strange to get used to. The building used to feel like it started with me. Now it starts without me. And still, it keeps going. The transition meetings stretch across 2 weeks. I attend some. I skip others. No one questions it directly anymore. That might be the biggest shift of all. Questions used to define my place. Now silence does. They built the new structure exactly the way people always do when they're afraid. More meetings. More approvals. More distribution of responsibility that still quietly funnels back toward the same core systems I designed. They renamed things. They moved boxes around. But the weight didn't disappear. It just became visible to them. Daniel doesn't sit in executive sessions anymore. Not fully. Not comfortably. He still shows up sometimes. But he speaks differently now. Shorter sentences. Less certainty. Like he's measuring every word against something he can't fully control anymore. One afternoon, I find him alone in the hallway outside the conference room. No assistant. No audience. Just him. That's new. He looks up when he sees me. And for a second, neither of us speaks. That used to feel impossible. You were right, he says finally. It's simple. No build-up. No defense. Just that. I don't respond immediately. Because I know what kind of sentence that is. It's not closure. It's adjustment. I nod slightly. That doesn't change anything I say. He exhales slowly. I know. A pause. Then softer. I just didn't see it. I look at him for a moment. Not with anger. Not with satisfaction. Just clarity. That was the problem, I say. Not as accusation. As fact. He looks down briefly. Then back up. Are you going to stay involved long term? That question again. It's never really about work. It's about dependency. Who holds it? Who releases it? Who controls the timing? I think about it. Not from fear. Not from pride. From distance. And I realize something simple. I don't belong to the system anymore. But the system still moves through things I built. That's different. And it will stay different. For now, I say again. He nods. He doesn't push it. That's new too. Later that day, HR sends a revised structure document. My title appears differently now. Not elevated. Not diminished. Just separated. Independent operational systems. Oversight, external advisory capacity. It looks official. It feels like detachment. Not inclusion. Not exclusion. Distance. I read it once. Then close it. Because titles don't matter in the way they used to. They only matter when people believe they define access. And access has already shifted. In the office, people still come to me. But differently. Not urgently. Not automatically. They hesitate first, then choose words more carefully. It's not fear. It's recalibration. They're learning where I sit in their mental map again. One afternoon, a junior analyst stops me. Emily, should I escalate this? He holds his laptop like it might be wrong to ask. I look at the issue, then at him, then say, "You already know the answer." He nods slowly, walks away, and doesn't come back for confirmation. That's new. Harris calls me that evening. You've become an anomaly in their system. I sit on my apartment floor, shoes off, phone on speaker. What does that mean, I ask? A pause. Then, they can't classify you cleanly anymore. Another pause. That gives you leverage. I stare at the wall. Not because I feel powerful. Because I feel uncontained. Days pass like that. Less urgency. More observation. The company keeps functioning. Just differently. Like a machine learning how to run without assuming I will catch everything it drops. And I stop catching it. On purpose. One morning I walk past the glass boardroom where everything began. It's empty. Chairs perfectly aligned. Whiteboard wiped clean. No trace of the moment I stopped being invisible. Except I know it's still in the system. Just not visible anymore. I stop for a moment. Look at it. Then keep walking. Because there's something I finally understand. That room was never where I changed. It was where people noticed what had already been true for a long time. Outside the building, the air feels different. Not lighter, not heavier. Just mine again. No one calls my name as I leave. No one needs to. And for the first time, that doesn't feel like absence. It feels like release. Later that night, I delete nothing. I archive nothing. I just close the last work notification and let it stay closed. Because I don't need permission anymore to stop being everything at once. Final thought comes quietly, not as conclusion, as clarity. They didn't replace me. They learned I was never replaceable in the way they meant it. And I learned something better. I don't need to be held in place to matter. I already do. Outside their structure. Outside their permission. Outside the need to be seen correctly to exist fully. And for the first time, that is enough. The end.